getting my hair dressed. It's trying to look like a fine girl. I'm not really setting my mic. Get ready. Let's do this. And we're on. We're live. Hi guys, it's a girl Serafina, and that's Sophina. How you all doing? Hope you're having a great weekend, because I'm having a very beautiful and a wonderful weekend. So just in case you are just seeing this face for the first time, this is the weekend with Serafina. So if you are a first timer, a newcomer, welcome to the family. Do not forget to subscribe. Click on the subscribe button and just be part of the family. And if you are already part of the family, our regular customer, I welcome you to another episode of The Weekend with Serafina. So today we're talking about something very important. Something people don't really talk about. Something people get to see that, oh, it's a norm. They don't really see it like something they should talk about in the society. And you know what I always tell you now? This is The Weekend with Serafina. This is a place where we get to talk the real deal. You know, where we get to talk the real deal. Things that people don't get to talk about, or things that people overlook. In this place, we do not overlook. We are gonna dig it in. We're gonna dive in. So I'm here to talk about toxic workplace. Yes, toxic work environment, a toxic workplace. So why talking about this? It's gonna be like me sharing my experience, and while we go along with this topic, you understand. So before we go further, let us understand what toxic workplace is, what a toxic work environment is. So Google said a toxic work environment is one where negative behaviors such as manipulation, bullying, yelling, and so on are so intrinsic to the culture of the organization that a lack of productivity, a lack of trust, high stress level in fighting and discrimination become a norm. What Google is trying to say is a toxic workplace is when you get to manipulation, when you get to experience bullying, when you get to experience yelling, you get to experience discrimination, when all of these things, turns out to be a norm. Like, people don't really talk about it. They feel like, okay, it's a norm, this is what is supposed to happen in a work environment. You understand? So, and also we said when there is a lack of trust, and high stress level, where you get to experience high stress level, stress mentally, emotionally, you understand, and where they don't get to trust you, or you don't get to trust people. You're just in this environment where there's no trust. This is a toxic work environment. Like, why I actually picked this topic for us to talk about, because like I said, people don't really talk about these things. Like, people experience this thing every single day, on a daily basis, at their workplace, their daily life. When it comes to work environment, there are people that are still experiencing this thing. So that's why I just feel like, okay, let me come share my own experience, with you guys, and let's just talk about it. You talk about yours, I talk about mine, or you type yours, I talk about mine. We share our experience. You understand? This is something that needs to be looked into, because you know what? Research proves that more than 5% of workers, experience this harm to their mental health at their place of work. And also, a professor named Jeffrey Pfeffer. I can't pronounce that name. Okay, but Jeffrey Pfeffer, who is a professor of organizational behavior in Stanford Graduate School of Business, he linked workplace stress to 120,000 deaths a year in the United States. So now you see, this is alarming. This is something that needs to be talked about. This is something that we need to know, we need to understand. But let's go down to how to detect if you are, or when you are in a toxic workplace. Number one, when there are no boundaries between your work life and your personal life. Yes, I mean, this one is very, very important, because a lot of times people don't really differentiate their work hour and their normal life hour. Like, because I can remember back then, when I get home like around 10 p.m, 11 p.m. at night, I'll just go freshen up, and the next thing I'm already up on my laptop again, trying to check my activity for that day, what I did not get to finish. The times I go to bed like 2 a.m. I'm telling you, I go to bed like 2 a.m. and like, even sometimes I have like 2 hours sleep, 3 hours. 3 hours sleep isn't too much. Let's say manageable, just 3 hours sleep, you understand? So when you don't get to differentiate your work life, when there's no boundaries between your work life and your personal life, that's a toxic work life. That's a really toxic work life. To me, it's a toxic work life. So number two, people don't trust each other. When you are in an environment where there's lack of trust, like there's a whole lot of gossiping around, the backbiting, the interpersonal relationship is not healthy, then you are in a toxic environment. Because I can remember vividly back then, there was just a whole lot of gossiping, and I wasn't just cool with it, because to me, I wasn't really cool with it. I always say something that if I cannot say something in your presence, then I'd rather not even say it behind you. You understand? So when you are in an environment where there's a whole lot of gossiping, a lot of backbiting, and the interpersonal relationship is not healthy, you get that you are in a toxic environment. Number 3, when you feel gaslighted and threatened, like you have this feeling of always being gaslighted or threatened. Let me use my experience. Like when you are in an environment where people are always looking for who to push the blame on, you understand? Who to push the blame on, who to take the fall for that particular issue, where people are not willing to take ownership of situation, then you are in a toxic workplace. Number 4, okay, when you get to experience that people get to treat you with contempt, like people get to treat each other with contempt, then you are in a toxic workplace. What am I trying to say? For instance, now, probably you are a newcomer, like you just got employed in that organization. Okay, they're having a meeting and you hear your own opinion, and they make you feel like your opinion doesn't count. So when you tend to feel this way, like feeling of contempt, like they don't listen to you, they don't trust your opinions, they don't trust your ability, then you are in a toxic workplace. So number 5, like I said, there are so many ways to detect that you are in a toxic workplace. These are just few out of like billions, few out of like billions ways to know if you are in a toxic workplace, how to detect that you're in a toxic workplace. Now the last one, number 5 from me, when you regularly experience a physical or symptom of stress, be it physical stress, emotional stress, experience, when you start feeling this work stress, then that is an alarm that you are in a toxic workplace, because your mental stress, when you start experiencing mental stress, it tends to affect your physical well-being. You understand? So when I talk about physical stress, I'm talking about like you start looking all stressed out, you start having this eye bag, you tend not to have good sleep, you don't get to have good sleep and all of that. Back then, when I get home like around 10 p.m., 11 p.m., I have just like 30 minutes or 1 hour to freshen up, to have dinner. Sometimes I don't even eat before going to bed, you get, because it's late already, and I'm this family of flat belly gang, you get. So I don't even get to eat sometimes to bed. But and I wake up so tired. Even when I'm getting up from the bed, I'm always very sluggish. So when you start experiencing some mental stress like let me share my own experience of my mental stress. In a point that even when I'm in the midst of people, I would constantly be thinking about my job. It was really alarming, because sometimes I might even be in the midst of my friends, I might be in church, or all I'm just thinking of is my job. Oh, did I do this thing well? Oh, I posted this thing right. Oh, I did this well. Oh, I done this. All I was just thinking about was the work. It was so crazy to a point that whenever I'm sleeping, it feels like I relive my life. Like I relive my day. You understand what I'm trying to say? When I'm having a nap or when I'm sleeping at night, that feeling of passive, that feeling of me reliving my day, how my day went from morning, afternoon, evening, like psychologically, emotionally, like subconsciously, when I'm sleeping, I get to experience that. I'm reliving my day in my dream. That even when I wake up, it feels like I'm at work. Even when I wake up in the morning, trying to get ready for work, it feels like I'm at work already. Then it takes me, like I have to take some seconds to boot my memory that, sis, you are home, you are just waking up and you're just getting ready to go to work. That was how mentally I was stressed out. Like it was affecting me mentally. That period too, whenever I receive a call from work, my head would just start roaming. What did I do? What have I not done right? Before I pick that call, I would have asked myself, I would have checked myself, check and balance myself, like ask myself 100 million questions before picking that call. And before you know it, my heart will start beating. Like I was filled with a whole lot of fear. So if you are experiencing these things, if you're having this feeling, what I just said right now, bro, sis, it's obvious you are in a toxic workplace and you need to look into it. Let's go down to the effects of a workplace environment. 1, inferiority complex. One of the effects of being in a toxic workplace is you start feeling inferior, even if you're actually good at that thing you're doing. I mean, you're trying, you're doing your best, you're learning so hard, you're getting better, but that feeling of inferiority complex will not leave you, because that place is toxic. Your ability is never appreciated. So even if you're doing well, you still get to feel inferior on your job. You understand? So number 2, you start feeling this fear of belonging. Like fear of belonging, fear of fitting in. Let me give you an example. I could remember back then, I was in a spot where I was just asking myself a lot of questions like, I don't think I belong here. I don't think this is where I'm supposed to be. I don't think this is it for me. Like, I don't think I'm actually good at this, because because the toxic work life was crazy. I was trying to convince myself that, okay, I'm good at this thing, I can be better at this thing. This was the effect of this toxicity, in the work space for me. Number 3, when you get to question your ability, your worth, and oneself, at that point you're always questioning yourself. Am I good at this? Am I sure I'm good at this? You at that point when you get to doubt yourself. Because even me too, back then, even when I'm actually good at this thing, like I'm actually good at this thing, you get to see me, I would just, before I send a mail, I'll read through that mail like 100 million times because of the fear. Because of the fear I had inside of me. So the next one, when it's taking too long for you to adjust to the work life, or to the workspace, or adjust to the job, and also trying to adjust to to the people. You're in a new environment now, all these people, you don't know them. So when you're trying to adjust to the work and also trying to adjust to the people you meet in that place, if it's taking too long, trust me, for me, it took me the whole month, like the whole time I was in that place, I was still adjusting. I wasn't feeling that level of being at peace in the job, you get. So it was, I spent my whole time, all the time I was in the organization, I spent my whole time, you understand, trying to fit in, trying to adjust to the people, trying to adjust to the job. So if it is taking longer time, then it is obvious that it's toxic. It is toxic because you shouldn't take that long still trying to adjust. And so another effect of a toxic workplace, when you start having some suicidal thoughts, and trauma, and physically and emotionally always falling sick. And also you're always feeling this fear, fear, threats, you're scared, and you're looking for, the fastest exit to just leave. It is obvious that you are in a toxic workplace. Let me share my own experience. At that very point, it was so bad, like the emotion, the feeling was so bad to a point that I was having a suicidal thought. Yes, I was having a suicidal thought. I was having this negative thought of, okay, what if something bad happens to me? Probably when something bad happens to me, I'll be good enough for my boss, I'll be good enough for who I am answering to, I'll be good enough for my supervisor, it felt like I spent all of my time trying to please the people I was under, the people I was reporting to. You get what I'm trying to say? So I was having this lot of suicide thought. There was even a time I was on my way back home from work. I'm sharing this thing because a lot of people are experiencing this thing, but they don't get to talk about it. They don't come out to talk about these things. And I've heard of so many stories and so many cases where you get to hear people commit suicide. There was a time I was coming back from work, I had this thought of, oh, let the car just, have accident, she just do. Maybe if the car have accident and it tumbles, maybe I'll be able to take time out from work and relax and, just rest my life. Or probably when this happens, when the accident happens, they'll pity me, maybe they'll get to like me, I'll get to please my boss enough on the job, some kind of devilish negative thoughts were like running through my mind. And all these are effects of a toxic workplace, because when you start feeling this suicidal thought, when you start feeling threatened on your job, you start feeling scared, you start feeling, having this level of fear, you're thinking of the next exit, how to leave, then you are in a toxic workplace. And so now let's talk about how to deal with it, like how to undo this thing. These are the few actions I took. Number 1, know yourself first. Know what you can tolerate and what you cannot tolerate. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, at that very point where I started feeling that, okay, I started doubting my self-worth, I started doubting my ability, I started doubting my strength, I took out time. At some point, I took out time to get to know who I am. Because at that point, it was as if people were just bringing shit to me. I did not go through that journey alone. I was listening to Olaf's sermon. At that very point, my relationship with God was shaking. It felt, when you feel lost, but you want to be found, but you don't know how to be seen so you can be found. I don't know if I'm making any sense. So that was how I felt at that period. First thing in the morning, when I get to the office, I go on YouTube, I'll just plug my phone, plug my hair plug, I'm walking, I'm listening to words of affirmation and all of that. I take my time a bit to pray. At some point, I was starting to build my confidence, like I was beginning to build my confidence through what, the things I heard. I was beginning to trust my ability, I was beginning to trust myself. At that point, I was now knowing my self-worth. I was knowing my self-worth on that job, and them being lucky having me on the job. You get, so I was beginning to know my self-worth. So number 2, I started having a whole lot of self-confidence. Start having self-confidence on yourself. I mean, don't listen to whatever anybody tell you. Do not listen to the hurtful things or to the harsh things you get to hear from work. Start working on yourself first of all, because the best thing in life, or the best thing that would happen to you, is yourself. You get, so start working on yourself. Start building your self-confidence. You understand? Start trusting your worth. Start trusting yourself on the job. I was like an open book. You get, I was like an open book. I was just willing and ready to learn. I was willing and ready to learn. I was like, I was always asking a whole lot of questions because I want to know and I want to learn. The next thing I did was I started creating boundaries between my work life and my personal life. I started setting boundaries between them. When I'm home, I'm home. No open laptop, nothing has to do with work. You understand? When I'm home, when I'm resting, no work, nothing. When I'm at work, fine. But when I'm home, no work, no. And another thing I did was I started being emotionally ready. I was becoming so emotionally ready, and I started building my emotional intelligence. I started building my emotional strength. I started knowing how to handle things. Because you could remember I said earlier on, at that point, people are always looking for who to push the blame upon. People are always looking for who to push the blame upon. People are always looking for who to take the fall. You understand? Nobody are always willing to take ownership of something. So at that point, when I got to understand all of these things, I started being emotionally very, very strong. I started being emotionally strong. At that time, I always cry. You will cry, you go tire. You understand? I don't think I've ever cried in a relationship as much as I cried in my job. Trust me. There was a whole lot of crying. That was when I started. When I started the job, I was always crying. I get home, I'll cry. I'm inside public transport on my way back home. You see me in one corner, putting my face like this. I'll be crying. It was a very crazy emotion. It was a very crazy moment of my life. So another thing I think you should do is take the situation to higher authority. You take whatever you're feeling. I believe every organization have HR. So take the situation to your HR. Go talk to your management about it. If you're being harassed, if you're being bullied, if you're being assaulted, if you're being discriminated, whatever the feeling is, whatever the situation is, or whatever it is, do not forget to take it to higher authority. Let them deal with it. You understand? Because I believe that's why they are there. That's why we have HRs in organization, human resource management. That's why we have them. So just take it to higher authority and let the situation be dealt with. I hope this turns out to be very helpful. I hope this is really, really helpful for someone, for you watching this video, and I hope you find peace. I hope you find peace in your workplace. Advices, please, employers, management, take these things serious. You guys should look into these things. Your meeting should always be about strategic meetings. What are we make, our profit, our loss, our shigba, all of those things. It should always be about that. These are humans. These are people. They are humans. I believe that it's always about profit and loss for the month, for the week. What have you done? What have you not done? There should be seminars. There should be conference. There should be, I don't know, whatever. There should be something. Probably if organization can build a therapy sections for their employee, if they had it to you, for instance, now you will see medical bill, or what is medical expenses. You see house allowance. Please have therapy section too, even if it's once in a month or once in 2 months or once in 3 months. Let your employees go and check their emotions. A lot of people are going through so many stuff, and they'll not come to work. You'll not hard again to it. So my own take is, I just hope that employers and management watching this video right now, please take this thing to action. Look into these things. A toxic workplace for your employee, it is not something that they should experience at all. So that's all I have for you today. Don't forget to comment, to like, to subscribe, and be part of this awesome family. Because this place, in this zone, we talk about things that people do not get to talk about. We talk about things that people see that is a norm. No, it is not norm to us. We're gonna come here, we're gonna dig it out, we're gonna dive into it, and we're gonna talk about it. That is why this is the weekend with Serafina. We're gonna chill and we talk about this stuff. Yeah, this is not Netflix and chill. This is Serafina and chills. Please, your comment, share your experience, say something on the comment box. Let me hear what you have gone through. Let me hear what you've experienced. That is why I'm here. Let us share our thoughts, let us share our emotions, let us share our pain. Let's cry on each other's shoulder. Do not forget to share this video to somebody that you think would love to see my pretty face.